business and they just get, coaching here and there, but you do that right inside your company. It doesn't make any sense to me, but what are they saying? You can take water to the horse, but you can't make them drink.
There you go.
That's what they do say. Thanks, Miguel.
You're the real deal, guys. You're the whole thing, real deal. All right, enough of that.
Appreciate it.
Yeah.
Well, thank you,
All
thank
right.
you, thank you.
Well, you got, from my perspective, you guys have another 35 minutes to stop saying good things about us. That's it. We're going to cut it off.
Yeah.
All right, good stuff. Keep
very
up the good
good.
work, Robert. Yeah, it's a leadership thing, so we appreciate you. And you could say you were only in charge of the coffee, but we know the real.
All right, pastries too.
Okay, good.
Hey, those pastries are really good.
There you go.
I actually wanted to eat some, but I'm on a diet, so.
Oh yeah.
Oh, you missed the keto pastries. Too bad.
Those were really early, Denise.
Yeah.
Hey, Neil, is my Ferry planning to retire, or he's going to continue going on?
Mike and I have that conversation occasionally about, because people ask them that question. People ask me that question. And, what we kid each other at the same time. I think both of us, well, he's going to die before me on stage because he's older. So, but that's where we're going to be. We're just going to be up there and talking and giving an idea or something like that. And all of a sudden we're not going to be talking anymore. And Robert will get back up on the stage and he'll continue. And that's the way.
What it's gonna be, Neil, is this. Remember when Mike was doing a presentation and somebody had a heart attack at the event, and he just said, "Everybody stay calm," and they carted the guy off, and then Mike just kept doing the talk. That's what's gonna happen. Is that something's gonna happen, and then I'm just gonna go on stage and go, "Okay, everyone, just stay calm." They're gonna cart him off, and then I'll just keep going.
That's it. That's
point number 7.
Yeah. Okay. Point 7.
Neil, Mike said that he's going to have sex and go to heaven.
There you go.
Okay.
All right. So what did we get out of yesterday? What were some of the main takeaways we got from the event yesterday for those of you that went?
I'm going to say something here, and I know I've been saying a lot. The first point he brought up, and I wrote it in capital letters, and it was a side note. It wasn't even number 1, but it was my number 1, was do something. Do something instead of doing nothing. Right? And we could apply that in multiple areas. Prospecting, do your lead follow-up, wake up in the morning, go to the gym, eat better, do something. Don't stay stagnant. So that one came home with me.
No, it's a great point, especially right now. There's so many people wondering, well, what's going to happen? What's going to happen? What's going to happen? What about this? What about this? Well, you can think about what about this all day, but just do something as you're thinking about it, as you're trying to figure out what's happening with the market. Prospect.
Yeah.
If you're wondering what's going to happen with interest rates, go preview. If you're wondering what's going to happen with the inventory, practice your skills.
Yeah.
Do something, anything. So Miguel, on that point, I wrote down something. I've said this before, but this is a really key thing for me underneath that point of doing something. The average real estate agent works 210 days a year. Now, some of you work more, some of you work less, but on average is 210. 15 minutes a day for 210 days equals 55 hours a year. So in terms of doing something, if you just spent 15 minutes on something every day, you would do it for 55 hours over the course of the year. So I don't know what to do. Role play your scripts. If you role played for an additional 15 minutes or 15 minutes at all, that means 55 hours of practice. If you practice 55 hours over the next 12 months, would you be better than you are today? Okay. If you called your database past clients for 15 minutes a day, even if we only got a few calls in, that's 55 hours of prospecting past client centers of influence. Would you have a better shot at finding a deal? 15 minutes a day. So to point of do something, every little bit adds up. Now imagine if it was an hour a day. That's 210 hours. Oh my gosh, could you imagine how many contacts could you make in 210 hours? How many properties could you preview in 210 hours? 210 hours of working on your skills for an hour a day. Every little bit adds up. You just have to do something.
Do something.
Great point. Great point. What else? What else were some of the takeaways from yesterday?
I'll give a takeaway
Yes, Tess.
because I saw the notes of Mike that those notes are from 2018.
Uh-huh.
So basically, my thinking is this: it's still gonna be the same. If you're not talking to that, you're not having a conversation with people, you're not really working your business. And so it's the same thing: setting your schedule, having a strong mindset, a conversation with people. Let's accept the fact that inventory is one of the biggest problem that we have right now, not only in real estate, but from other area of our industry. Okay.
Yeah.
That and the discipline, he mentioned about the discipline on our schedule, discipline on the instructions, like those our emails. He mentioned about that. And one thing really was, he really put me on the spot there. He asked me how many leads.
How many leads? Yeah.
I had 5 leads, and I said, and he asked me which one is going to sign the contract, and I said 1. So what are you going to do with a 4? There's a trash can right next to you, So really, we hear the same thing each time. For me, you know how like with the ladies, we have our nails done, right? It's like basically refilling them, but putting us on track.
For the men that don't know what that means, it means they have to keep getting them done.
Exactly.
The men might not know what refilling means. Okay. They just have to keep getting them done.
Nails have to
Keep
be
getting
done
it done.
frequently and on a schedule.
There you go. Frequently
Been
on
married
schedule.
for some time. You know what that means.
Exactly.
Yes, well, that's why I knew, Tyrone, but it was probably, I just wanted to make sure everyone else understood, because it was a good point.
And one more point that I have to make, which really
Yes,
stood
yes.
out. I have to understand the importance of a strong value of what they see in me to hire me,
Yes.
which is really good.
Yeah.
They pay for your facial expression.
They pay for your facial expression. Sure.
Yeah.
Sure to God. Yeah.
Sure. Absolutely. Absolutely. So a couple points, Tess brought up there. For those of you that weren't there, Mike had mentioned that the points were from 2018. And let's be very clear on something. I don't care if it's the year 2022, 1922, or just 22. You are in the what business? What business are you in?
Selling business.
Talking to people.
You are in the talk to people business. Whether it's 2022, 1922, or just 22. You're in the talk to people business. Well, Robert, there's all this great technology. I get it. But you are in the talk to people business. You have simply got to talk to people. Now, you can use the technology to supplement and things like that. But let me tell you something. If you had 100 verbal conversations versus 100 text conversations, which person do you think will get more business?
Verbal.
The verbal.
Purple.
Well, what about the person that does 100 messages on social media versus 100 verbal conversations? Who's going to get the most business? Verbal. Now, I'm not saying you do the text, you can't do the social media, but we're in the talk to people business. You simply have to talk to people. Okay. That's just part of the gig. So if you don't want to talk to people, I recommend investing in some how-to books, to learn a different type of craft, like maybe processing files or, something along those lines. Okay. Roofing, don't really need to be a good talker. All right. You're in the talk to people business. Absolutely. So yes, it is a lot of the same types of things. I wrote down underneath that point test when he was talking about 2018. This is, again, doesn't matter what year you're in. This is one of my all-time favorite Mike Ferry quotes. There's people that want to buy. There's people that want to sell. Your job is to get in the way and don't say anything stupid. So he's talking about notes from 2018, and here we are in 2022. Oh yeah, but we're post-pandemic. Rates are 5%, inventory's low, sales are down. What's different? Fine. Somebody wants to buy, somebody wants to sell. Get in the middle and don't say anything stupid. Doesn't matter what year it is. Okay? Very, very important stuff that a lot of these things are the same type of rules. So, or the last thing I wrote down here, some of you have heard this story a number of times. Does anybody know what Neil Schwartz's first listing was?
FISBO.
A FISBO. Does anybody know what the objection was?
Commission.
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 45 years ago, there were for sale by owners just like there are today. And 45 years ago, the objection for the for sale by owner was commission. So yes, times have changed. It's 2022, but in real estate, a lot of the same stuff we deal with is always going to be the same stuff. So very, very important. Good stuff. All right, what else? What else did we get? What were some other takeaways from yesterday? Yes, Rudy. Yes.
We have to think outside of our comfort zone, and the belief that getting used to being comfortable, being uncomfortable is really key. And then when he said that he had 198 deals in 18 months, that comes to 11 per month.
Yeah.
To me, the fact that he was talking to 100 people per day, it seems like a huge amount of people to talk to. But if you focus on just getting listings, then it makes all sense.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Well, look, here's the point. Okay. Two things to that. If you have a schedule that's 80% based around money-making activities and you learn to delegate, you should have a lot of hours to prospect. Okay. Sometimes for us, 100 is a lot for anybody, but sometimes for people, 30 seems like a lot. And that's because your schedule, maybe you don't even have one, but your schedule is not 80% production-based activities. It's, 40% production-based, and then I spend a couple hours doing some admin and a couple hours learning the CRM or figuring out which CRM I want and websites and all this other stuff. Or you don't delegate. Well, I got to deal with this title thing and I got to deal with this escrow thing. If you create a schedule that's 80% based on money-making activities and you learn to delegate, you should have plenty of hours to prospect, where 30 contacts should be nothing, 40 contacts, maybe even 50. Now, what I would also say, though, is that if you're averaging 15, 20 contacts a day, 100 seems unrealistic. And it might be at that point. So if you're averaging, so what I would challenge everybody to do is increase your number by 10. Start there. You're making 20 contacts a day. See if you can make 30 a day. If you're making 30 a day, see if you can make 40 a day. You're not going to jump from 20 to 50. You're not going to jump from 30 to 75. That's just not going to happen. Okay. 2 days later, your voice will be shot. You'll hate real estate. and you won't come back. Okay. Trust me. We tried this. For those of you that were around, we did this probably 4 or 5 years ago. We had this wonderful idea to make 100 contacts in a day. None of us had done that ever. So we had people at the office until like 7, 8 o'clock at night trying to get 100 contacts. And how do you think the last 40 contacts were?
Brutal.
Brutal. And do you think they were of value at all? No. This was the contacts, the last 40. Hey, this is Robert with Century 21. You don't want to sell your house, do you? Please
And
say
then we
no.
lost, and then Robert, remember, we lost everybody for 2 days after
Yeah,
that.
that was the thing. Nobody showed up for like 2 or 3 days after that because they were just shocked. So, so you're not going to jump from 20 to 50, 30 to 70, whatever. Add 10 more a day. And then when you get that down and you kind of figured out the schedule and delegating, then add 10 more. And then you can get to 40, 50 contacts a day. It's doable, okay? But start by one at a time.
Robert, if I can share,
Yeah.
Rudy Campos, I started swimming, trying to get back into shape. I started with 30 distances or 15 laps. Every month I've increased it by 10. I'm doing 90 distances or 45 laps now.
Wow.
After 4 months.
That's a mile and a half, right?
I have no idea what it is. I just do it.
Pretty damn close. Pretty damn close.
I just know it's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a mile and a
That's
Same thing with
great.
prospecting, starting and adding, like you said, 10 every month.
That's it.
Yeah.
That's it. That's it. So, Mike's making 100 contacts a day. Yeah. We could certainly do more is the point. Now here's a question I have for everybody, because Rudy brought up a good point, is that you have to think, what was it? Start thinking uncomfortable. What was the first point?
Being
Yeah.
comfortable, being uncomfortable.
Being comfortable, being uncomfortable. What does that mean? When you all hear that, because I have a couple of thoughts on that I think are really good. What do you think about when you hear that?
Like doing things that take you out of your comfort zone. So if you if you're afraid of public speaking, taking classes where you can learn to start speaking in big crowds, or I don't know, just like cold calling too. There's a lot of people that are afraid of cold calling or door knocking and just getting uncomfortable by practicing that.
Sure. On the reverse side of that, to the opposite of Denise, there are a lot of people, and I'm not saying this as a joke, that are uncomfortable calling people they know. It's not cold calling, they'll do that all day. Some people don't want to call people they know, is the uncomfortable part. Okay, what else? When you hear get comfortable being uncomfortable, what is that? What else does that come up with?
It's like to me, the idea of after this meeting, I have the idea I'm going to go out and knock 30 doors in my vicinity, and whether or not I feel that's going to amount to anything.
Sure.
I do it anyway. That's why I was asking earlier about what the best, prospecting method is, because I have that feeling sometimes of the thought before I do stuff like, is anything going to come of this? But I guess you have to block that out,
Yeah, absolutely. 100%. 100%. Yeah.
To add to that,
go ahead.
When we go, what I've learned is that when we go out prospecting, you're already coming in with that subconscious mind thinking, I'm not going to get nothing out of this prospecting. You give that energy out, not even being aware that you're giving that energy out to when you're out prospecting. So that's my feedback to where one of my coaches have caught when I went door knocking, because I would door knock so much, but I would not get any numbers or any contacts. To one time she went out with me and she's like, that's the problem. I'm like, what's the problem? She's like, I used to door knock and say, hi, I'm sorry to bother you, but blah, 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 blah. Because I felt like every time I door knocked, I felt like I was bothering people. So as soon as I switched that mentality, everything changed for me. So
great point. Neil, what were you gonna say?
No, that's it. You covered it.
Oh, okay.
Just one idea, Robert. Just in running, just as an example, when I was in high school, we did about 40 miles a week. When we went to college, it was 100. And then when I thought about it and my times went down, I thought, which mile was the one that put me over, put me under the time that I was really working for? And it wasn't any 1 mile, it was all of them. And that's what I keep telling myself when I'm making these, calls and keep calling and calling and calling. You don't know which one it's going to be. And it's all of them. And that's the whole idea. It's the whole idea. Just stick with that and don't count them. I mean, you have to count them, but to know where you're at, but it's not, you look for quality in every one, but it's the whole package, and you can't look at it. I can't look at it any other way than that.
Yeah, that's a great point.
That makes sense.
Yep, that's a great point. It's a great point. So what I also wrote down under comfortable being uncomfortable is this is something that I always work on, is you have to be comfortable having uncomfortable conversations. And what I mean by that, in real estate, many people that have to sell is usually not because it's good, right? Many people that have to sell is because it's a financial problem, right? They can't afford the payment. They can't afford the house. They lost their job. There was a death in the family. There was a disability in the family, or someone has to come live with them. A lot of people that have to sell, it's not because it's a good thing. So you need to, which can make very uncomfortable conversations. And if you try to, be, super jolly guy to someone who, just lost their job of 30 years and is about to file bankruptcy, they're probably not going to like you. Okay. So you need to be comfortable having those uncomfortable conversations. And you know what I'm talking about, because everybody knows somebody that gets uncomfortable in awkward moments, gets uncomfortable at, tough situations. You have to be comfortable having those uncomfortable conversations. Very good. All right. What else? What else did we get? What else did we get from yesterday?
I love the fact when they talked about upgrading your lifestyle, and your standards. That's how your standards become upgraded.
Sure.
Through that. And then also knowing your top 5 reasons of why they should choose you. Understanding those values.
So I wrote this down, and Denise, I'm glad you brought that point up, because this is what I wrote down yesterday, is a homework assignment for everybody. And now you can turn it in if you want to. I will read them if you send them. I would like you to write out 3 to 4 value propositions. You can write out 5 if you want to, but at least 3 to 4 value propositions on why a seller should choose you, and write it out in the exact way you would say it, meaning that you have to be able to articulate the point. So it can't be, well, my value proposition is that I speak multiple languages. Okay, write out, how is that beneficial, right? My value proposition is I know the market. Okay, we'll write out how that's beneficial. Like, how can you explain that to a seller? Everybody needs to have 3 to 4 value propositions as to why a seller should choose you, and you need to be able to articulate those points so that a seller understands. Because is there always going to be someone offering a lower commission?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so if they don't see value in you, why wouldn't they just go with the lower commission? Right? There's always a lower commission option. There's always a higher price option. If they don't see your value, then why not just go with I would? You know what I mean?
So having a unique selling proposition.
Sure. 3 to 4. So let me give you an example. So Mr. and Mrs. Seller, one of the value propositions of working with me is that this particular neighborhood is a high Spanish speaking neighborhood, and I happen to speak fluently English and Spanish. The reason that's going to be helpful is I will be able to communicate with more buyers and more agents, which will help negotiate on your behalf. Do you think that's a value to you? Oh yeah, that's a huge value. There's a value proposition. Okay. Mr. and Mrs. Seller, one of the values of working with me is that I study the market every single day. Can I tell you what that means? Sure. Well, I actually preview 3 homes a day, inside and out, which means over the course of the year, I actually see 650 homes in your marketplace. Now, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, based on that, I've seen 650 homes a year. Do you think I know how to price a property correctly and what's going on in the market? Yes, I do. There's one of my values. Mr. or Mrs. Seller, here's a copy of my schedule. I'm curious, did the other agent give you a copy of their schedule? No, they didn't. Can I tell you why that concerns me? Sure. Well, as you can see, I have a very set, very specific schedule operated much like a CEO of a Fortune 500 business. So you know exactly what I'm doing on a daily basis. If an agent doesn't have a schedule to provide you, that means they're just an independent contractor that comes in whenever they want, leaves whatever they want. Would you like to have someone representing your largest asset that has a structured schedule, or somebody that just kind of goes by the day, however they want? Structured schedule. There you go. So there's 3. You're welcome.
Thank you, sir.
I have more, but I want you to do something, right? Do the homework. Because I gotta tell you, that was maybe, there was a lot of great points yesterday, but that was the one that I underlined and highlighted. You need to have value propositions, and you need to be able to articulate them. You can't use vague statements. We do a ton of marketing. Well, what does that mean? You know, I'm a market expert. What does that mean? I'm a neighborhood expert. What does that mean? You know, you don't use vague statements. Don't use short statements. Tell them what the value proposition is and be able to articulate it in a way that they understand. Yes, Rudy.
I forgot my point, but I was going to say, I think it would be good to develop 5 things for each pillar of business, such as for sole by owners, expireds, past clients, center of influence, to have 5 unique selling propositions.
Yes.
For each of those categories.
Yes. Yes, 100%.
Good stuff.
Yes.
Robert, one of the ones that, I don't know, it's just something that I've always lived by, is this professional approach. And when you tie in, I think it was Josh Barker's statement of attractiveness, I want to be very clear. It's not on how you physically look. Do you belong in the front cover of a magazine or you don't? That's not what I'm talking about, but it's how we present ourselves in how we dress. And I can't tell you how many people miss the mark there. They want to be in their jeans and look cool. I don't get it. When I'm going to the car dealership and the guy was dressed better than 90% of the agents in my office, and not that there's anything wrong with car dealership salesmen, because they make good money if they follow the scripts, right? The problem is we come way too casual. Like, this is as casual as you should probably be without a tie if you're a guy, or without a coat. But when you leave home and you're not working and you go down to the grocery store, people are still looking at you as a professional. The question is, what are you wearing? How old are your shoes? Are they clean? Are they scuffed up? I mean, is it a shirt that you haven't ironed? So we're now celebrities to some degree, where when we run into people outside of the real estate office or in the building, and we're seeing our clients or sphere of influence in the community, what are they thinking about us when we see them? Do they still look at you as a professional? Are you well groomed, right? Anyway, so you just never know who's going to see you, when they're going to see you. So level up in your appearance. This is my personal conviction. And so anyway, I hope it makes sense for some people that think it's like, hey, I don't care if they don't like the way I dress, screw them, right? They don't like me, they don't have to do business. Yeah, but you're here at the seminar trying to figure out how to get from 10 to 20 or 20 to 50. It doesn't make any sense.
That's a great point. Look at, no, you're on your point. Real estate agents claim they work 24/7, but only look that way 3-4.
Maybe.
Okay. So I work 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. Okay. But except that, I'm dressed in slums most of the day. Do you know, even though I work from home,
present company excluded, Robert, right? Present company excluded for sure.
Some, not all. Let's be honest. Some, not all.
Okay.
There are a lot of people on here that are dressed professionally every day. Some people are not. And look at you know who you are. I'm not going to call anybody out, but some people are not dressed professionally every day. When I'm working from home, which I am today, I'm in a suit at home. Because if I don't dress in a suit every day, I'm not going to give you a highly professional presentation on the screen. I'm just not going to do it. I'm going to be lounged. I'm going to be relaxed. It is what it is. Now, maybe you're the type of person that can work from home in sweats and a t-shirt. Maybe. Okay. But I'm guessing you would be better if you actually dressed the part. You want to be a professional. You want to be high end. You got to act that way all the time. You know, it's funny, Miguel, you know, because we use these events. It's no secret. We use these events for recruiting events as well. Okay.
Absolutely.
And there was like 150 people there that weren't from our company. And it was like, wow, we got 150 opportunities. I said, well, let's make it 145 because I'm looking at 5 or 6 people that I don't want to recruit. You know, and it's like, oh, Robert, I can't believe you judge somebody. So do you. Stop it. Okay. 2022, we shouldn't be judgmental like that. It's just the way it is. Get over it. Okay. Because we are first class, we're a higher standard, and everybody needs to look at themselves at that higher standard. So to Miguel's point, to Denise's point, you got to constantly upgrade everything. You got to upgrade, you know, how you present yourself online. You know, do you present yourself as a professional online, or if I go to your social media accounts, do I see you out boozing with the buds? You know, yeah, $1.2 million listing, and you know, 2 days ago he was, you know, passed out at the club. Yeah, come on over.
Dancing on the bar.
Dancing on the bar, you know, something like that. Now, look, if you want to do that, I'm not going to judge you. I just wouldn't post it where everybody could see it when you're then asking them for $60,000. You know, or yeah, you go to the store and it's like, oh yeah, that's my real estate agent. Which one? The homeless one? Yeah, that one. Yeah, that one. That one that's got dirt all over himself, hair's a mess, looks like he just woke up, even though it's 2:30 in the afternoon on a Tuesday. Yeah, that one. That's the guy that's coming over tomorrow to interview for selling our home.
Ouch.
You know, if you want to claim you work 24/7, then you got to be on 24/7. Which is why people, when they say they work 24/7, I think it's the dumbest thing of all time. Okay. All right. Very good. All right. Good stuff. So look, we could talk about this for an extended period of time. There was a lot of great stuff for today. I would challenge everyone, if you know, to write out your notes, write out your points that you got. If you didn't go, take the points that you just heard, talk to some people that went, figure out what you missed. But I'll leave you with this. What are you going to do with the information?
Type it out.
Is it, hey, thanks, Neil. Glad you put that on. And then it's just off to what you've been doing? Or is it, thanks, Neil. Glad you put that on. I got 2 or 3 things I'm implementing today. Ready? Mm-hmm. What are you going to do with the information?
I wrote down 37 points, 36 points in the notes yesterday. I'll email it to you, Robert. And this really gives us a little mini plan to get us from here to the Superstar Retreat.
100%.
To work on stuff like that. I am
100%.
Yeah.
There you go.